Welcome, friend. Today, I want to take you to a place unlike any other, a place where stone and silence hold deep mysteries. We're going to explore a gate in Jerusalem that's been sealed for centuries, yet people believe something powerful is waiting behind it. This gate is known by many names: the Golden Gate, the Eastern Gate, or the Gate of Mercy. It sits quietly in the eastern wall of Jerusalem's old city. At first, you might walk past it and not think twice. People do it every day, but if you stop and listen, really listen, you might sense something different. Time seems to pause there. It's not just old stone, it's a doorway frozen in time. This gate has been closed for around 500 years. According to both Jewish and Christian traditions, it's the very gate the Messiah will one day pass through when returning to Jerusalem. That's why it holds such deep meaning for those who study ancient prophecies. Lately, something strange has been happening. Dust has been falling near the gate. Stones appear to shift ever so slightly. People have whispered about odd sounds coming from within. Is it a coincidence? Or is something, or someone, getting ready to come through? To understand why this gate is sealed, we need to go back in time, all the way to the early 1500s. During that time, Jerusalem was under Ottoman rule. Sultan Suleiman, a powerful leader known for his grand construction projects, ordered the rebuilding of Jerusalem's walls. But one of his decisions stands out more than the rest. He commanded that the Eastern Gate be sealed. There's no official record explaining why. He didn't leave behind a document or explanation, but many believe it had something to do with prophecy. In Jewish teachings, it was believed that the Messiah would enter Jerusalem from the east, through this very gate. So perhaps Suleiman sealed it to prevent that from happening. He didn't stop there. He even had a Muslim cemetery placed right in front of the gate. Why would he do that? In Jewish tradition, members of the priestly line, known as the Kohanim, aren't allowed to enter cemeteries because it would make them ritually impure. If the Messiah were a priestly figure, this would be a spiritual roadblock. It's a sad idea, really, that someone tried to lock out the promise of hope, to build a wall against something divine. But if history has shown us anything, it's that people have tried to stop God's plans before and failed every time. Pharaoh tried, Babylon tried, Rome tried, yet prophecy continued not with force but with quiet confidence. This gate even appears in the Bible, not by name, but in visions. The prophet Ezekiel, while living in exile in Babylon, had a powerful vision. He saw the glory of God coming from the east and entering the temple through a special gate, what we now call the Eastern Gate, Ezekiel 43. But earlier in his book, he also saw something heartbreaking: God's presence leaving the temple, departing once again through the east, Ezekiel 10. It's a story of God drawing near, then withdrawing. Fast forward several centuries. Jesus enters the scene. On the week of Passover, he approaches Jerusalem. Crowds gather. He rides a donkey, a clear sign pointing to a prophecy in Zechariah. "Rejoice, daughter of Zion. Your king comes to you, gentle and riding on a donkey." Zechariah 9:9. He comes down from the Mount of Olives, crosses the Kidron Valley, and enters the city, likely through the Eastern Gate. It's quiet, peaceful. A king arriving not with soldiers but in humility. But that wasn't the end of the story. According to the book of Acts, Jesus later ascended to heaven from the Mount of Olives, and the book of Zechariah says he'll return there too. One day, his feet will once again stand on that mountain, Zechariah 14. The story, the prophecy, and the gate, they're all connected. And for 2,000 years, people have waited, watching. The Eastern Gate still stands today. It's sealed shut with stone and mortar. Nothing passes through. But the city around it is alive. The Western Wall echoes with the prayers of thousands. The golden dome of the rock shines in the sunlight. The streets are filled with life, with history, with tension. And yet, when you reach the eastern wall and stand before the gate of mercy, you feel something else, something quiet, something ancient. In recent years, there have been curious reports. Tour guides mention small clouds of dust slipping through the cracks. Engineers have noticed tiny shifts in the stones. Some say they've heard faint noises coming from deep within the gate. There's no official explanation. Many dismiss it as natural wear and tear, but others believe it's more than that. They see it as a whisper, a sign. Jesus once spoke of signs to watch for: shaking earth, rising tensions, strange voices calling out. In Matthew 24, he told his followers to stay alert, because no one knows the exact time. The message wasn't to be afraid, but to be aware. There is more happening than we can see. Under these ancient stones, beneath the surface of history and prophecy, something deeper is at work. The Bible even speaks to this mystery. In Hebrews 11:3, it says, "By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of what is visible." So maybe, just maybe, the sealed gate is not the end of the story. Maybe it's a beginning, waiting for the right moment to unfold. And as we watch and listen, we're reminded that not all walls stay closed forever. It's a quiet but beautiful truth. Everything we see around us once came from something invisible. Every tree, every building, every star in the sky. They all began as something unseen. That changes the way we look at the world. What we call reality is really just the surface, the outer layer of something deeper. It's like a shadow of a greater world we can't always see with our eyes. There's a gate in Jerusalem called the Eastern Gate. To many, it looks like an old sealed archway made of stone, nothing more. But it's more than ancient construction. It stands where heaven and earth seem to touch. This isn't just history. It's a line between the physical and the spiritual. God doesn't usually show himself in big, flashy ways. In the Bible, he rarely makes loud announcements. Instead, he often chooses quiet and unexpected moments to reveal himself, like whispering to a prophet in a cave instead of shaking the mountains, or being born as a baby in a stable rather than arriving in royal glory. Even when Jesus entered Jerusalem, he came riding on a donkey, not a mighty chariot. These things are not random. They follow a divine pattern, a way God often chooses to work. It teaches us something important. The kingdom of heaven often begins in small, humble ways. Like a tiny seed that slowly grows into a strong tree, God's plans unfold over time. So maybe when we see strange things near the Eastern Gate, like dust falling from the stones for no clear reason or strange, soft sounds from behind the walls, we shouldn't ignore them. Maybe God is giving us signs, not through thunder or lightning, but through quiet tremors and whispers that only the watchful notice. To really understand this gate, we have to look toward the Mount of Olives, which rises just across from it. That mountain isn't just a landmark. It's deeply spiritual and full of meaning. The Bible says the glory of God once left the temple and went east toward the Mount of Olives. But the story doesn't end there. In a vision, the prophet Ezekiel saw that one day God's glory would return from the east and pass through that same gate again. It's a pattern, leaving and returning, pain and healing, absence and presence. Jesus followed that same pattern. He came into Jerusalem by passing over the Mount of Olives and entered through the Eastern Gate. That was the day we now call Palm Sunday, when people laid down palm branches and shouted Hosanna, welcoming him as a king. Once again, glory passed through the gate. But that moment wasn't the final chapter. After his resurrection, Jesus went back to the Mount of Olives. From there, he ascended into heaven. The disciples stood watching the sky, unsure of what would happen next. Two men appeared and said, "Why are you looking up? He will come back the same way he left." The prophet Zechariah adds to this promise, saying that when Jesus returns, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives. That's not a symbol, that's geography. There's a straight path, from the mountain, across the valley, to the eastern gate. It's a line drawn across both space and prophecy. Throughout history, certain people have felt drawn to this gate. They are the watchers, men and women who sense that time has meaning and that events in the world are connected to a greater plan. They don't just watch the news, they look for signs. Many of these people, pilgrims, preachers, scholars, or quiet believers, have come to the gate and felt something unusual. Some say they felt a low vibration beneath their feet, like the ground remembered something. Others saw fine dust falling gently from the stones without any wind or movement, as though the gate were slowly waking up. A few even reported hearing a soft groan or sigh coming from behind the walls. These aren't just stories. They echo the ancient role of the watchmen in the Bible, those who stood on the walls of Jerusalem and stayed awake, waiting for signs. According to Isaiah, these watchmen don't rest. They keep alert day and night. Their job isn't to chase after every rumor. They look for patterns. They look for alignment. That brings us back to Jerusalem itself. This city isn't like any other. It's not just a place. It's a heartbeat of prophecy. From Abraham's time to the final pages of Revelation, Jerusalem shows up again and again. The Bible mentions it over 800 times. It's where God's presence came to dwell, where kings ruled, prophets cried out, and where Jesus walked, taught, and wept. One day, he looked over the city and said, "If only you knew what could bring you peace." But the people didn't see it, and that blindness is still a warning for us today. While the world rushes forward, distracted and restless, Jerusalem still stands, watching, waiting. Could it be that something divine is approaching again, and most people don't even realize it? If Jerusalem was at the center of Christ's first coming, maybe it will also be central to his return. There's another piece of the puzzle, a clue Jesus gave about the future. He spoke about a fig tree in Matthew 24. He wasn't giving a lesson in gardening. He was using a symbol. Many believe the fig tree represents Israel. When it starts to bloom, he said, you'll know the time is near, even at the gates. Those words, at the gates, might be more literal than we think. What if Jesus was pointing to the eastern gate itself? The same gate that has been sealed for nearly 500 years. The same gate that watchers say is beginning to stir. When Israel became a nation again in 1948, many saw that as the fig tree putting out its first leaves. Since then, the signs have multiplied. Wars, natural disasters, spiritual awakenings, confusion, and darkness. But the quietest sign may be the most powerful, a sealed gate beginning to shift. What does it mean when a gate like that opens? Maybe it won't come with thunder or dramatic miracles, but it will mean everything in the spiritual world. It will be a signal that a long-promised king is on his way. This is more than a gate of stone. It's a gate of destiny, a door through which prophecy may finally enter the present. It might be the final moment where human history and divine purpose collide. The signs are small, but they are increasing. The gate trembles while the rest of the world sleeps. Even the sky seems to be waiting. And you, if your heart feels stirred reading this, don't ignore it. Stay awake, stay aware, because the King will return. If this message speaks to you, share it. Let others hear it. Like it, pass it on, and stay connected. Because this may not be a memory from the past. It may be a prophecy unfolding right now, and the story is far from over. It may only just be beginning.